Before Game of Thrones took over HBO, there was John Adams. John Adams is a TV show starring Paul Giamatti as the President John Adams himself. Now, for one thing I know about John Adams is that the very first time I ever heard of the guy, I thought to myself, yeah, he's the dude that's in between George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. What's so interesting about him? Well, as it turns out, yeah, his presidency was really, really bad. In fact, a lot of historians will tell you throughout his entire time in politics, his presidency was definitely the worst out of them all, even when he was vice president to George Washington himself. But his role in the Revolutionary War was definitely a key interest out of it all, and this show definitely does capture it. This is probably the very first time I ever found Congress very interesting. The battleground in a Congress room, this is the show that really did capture it, especially in the critical moment that they were in during the Revolution. Now, the show starts off when the Boston Massacre happened and not Thomas Jefferson. John Adams was the lawyer that defended the British soldiers after the massacre. And it ends when he and Thomas Jefferson died on the very same day, July 4th, 1826, exactly 50 years after signing the Declaration of Independence. A crazy coincidence, don't you think? But anyway, I gotta say my very favorite episode in the entire show has got to be the second one, because they really captured the not only the very first United States Congress coming together, but they also captured just the complete battleground that they all were. I mean, you got Thomas Jefferson and John Adams that both believe in the exact same thing. Virginia and Massachusetts definitely want to go to war. And then there's Benjamin Franklin, who is played by the same guy who plays General Cornwallis from the movie The Patriot. He believes in their cause, but if Pennsylvania says no, then he has to say no. So I do respect his loyalty to one of his colonies. And it is up to this group of men to bring the 13 colonies together to finally make an independent country. Now, why do I find it the second episode very interesting is because is basically the state that they were in. I mean, everyone says what's really important about July 4th? Why is it that is the day we celebrate mostly? It's kind of like this. It's a day of courage in a way. See, around July 2nd, that's when the 13 colonies finally agreed to become their own country. But during this time period, the Revolutionary War was not looking good. It was not looking good for the Americans. They were losing by the mass. They were running into problems. And on July 4th, that was the day they signed the Declaration of Independence. And before then, the king sent them a letter that says, if you declare independence, you'll be considered as traitors, and you will all be hanged one by one. So them signing the Declaration of Independence on July 4th means there's no turning back at this point. We are taking a leap of faith. We are going to become our own country. We are going to take a plate of courage. And it really does. And when you look at the scenario, that is a plate of courage. If they would have lost the Revolutionary War, they would have died. They would have been hanged. They were already considered traitors. So I really did like the form of courage that they had to take in order to become America. That's really what I always see America. A land of courage, freedom, the ability to do whatever you want. This is exactly what they want to put together. And I also like the fact that after the Revolutionary War in this show, how they are trying to build on how leadership works and how this country is going to be run as well. I mean, John Adams becomes vice president for the very first time. Not exactly a very popular role because everybody wanted George Washington to be the very first leader, but he does his best for what he is given, which is not a whole lot if you know the vice president's role. So I really did like seeing all of that. And even though his presidency was definitely a slow burn, especially in this show, I still liked it because I always love the fact that people that believe in freedom and believe in creating their own country, everything that he has really talked about throughout the entire show is now being questioned now that he is a president. And a lot of acts that he committed as a president shows that word power coming in. That little graspy bastard trying to take hold of you when you are finally in the number one position. It happens to him, and it is definitely his downfall. They showed that brilliantly in this show, and I do award it for that. Now, Paul Giamatti does a phenomenal job as John Adams. He had the attitude. He doesn't take crap from anyone. If he wants the center of attention, he's gonna get the center of attention. And the loyalty that he gives to Massachusetts is very viable. In fact, a lot of these congressmen, their loyalty to their own colonies, I was about to call them states, they're colonies now, it is definitely noticeable, and I did enjoy that. But the one thing I really like is just Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Benjamin Franklin just sitting around and talking. I really love those scenes. They just seem like really, really good pals. And one thing about Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, were they really good friends? Yes, no, both sides, you'd be correct. I mean, there was a lot of times they were definitely good friends, but when they were presidents, they did not get along at all. But after the presidency, they went back to being friends once again. That's all in their historical stuff, and they show it brilliantly in this show. And another character in this show that definitely did a spectacular job, and that is Laura Linney as Abigail Adams, his wife. I mean, she is a stay-at-home mother taking care of all the kids, especially during this very critical time, not only with the Revolutionary War, but also a smallpox outbreak. That was a very terrifying scene. That was very nerve-wracking to watch. So she has to do all of these new responsibilities that her husband would usually do, but she stands by her husband. She believes in what he is trying to do, and she is with him 100% of the way. That right there is excellent courage right there. You know for a fact that she wants the same thing that her husband wants, and you gotta give it to Laura Linney's acting in this show. So I gotta say, John Adams is excellent. It's great. If you did not like the ending to Game of Thrones, move to this HBO show. It's only one season, but it is definitely worth the watch. So John Adams is definitely legendary. So guys, John Adams, have you seen it? What did you think of it? Whatever you thought, comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.